Hey, it's Dark Soul again. So I actually am planning to bulk record for the first time since like Rido Part 2, which was ages ago. That was before I even used a mic, which I kind of forgot I ever did that. So I'm gonna bulk record, which I probably should have been doing anyway, so I can have multiple videos come out over the span of... So I can either spam, or I can just release them over the course of a few days, which is probably the best idea. I'm not going to skip this cutscene because of the big bird. I love the bird. I was sad they never used another bird like that. I mean, obviously there's the talking crows that you trade items with, but there's no big birds that ever come back. This was kind of... Was this ever explained in the lore? There was a point in time where I was really invested in Dark Souls lore, but I've kind of fallen off of that. So was this bird ever explained at any point in the lore? Oh, there's a vibrating bird. I probably was. There's an explanation. There's an explanation for like everything in this. Wasn't there literally a thing in Dark Souls 2's lore where it like explained glitches, something like that? I could be remembering that wrong, but I think that is a thing. Probably am remembering that wrong. So this is Filing Shrine, which is basically the hub area of the game. It starts out, the bonfire starts out already kindled, so you'll notice my Estus has just gone up to 10 rather than 5. This means that, so when a bonfire is kindled, you can only kindle a bonfire if you're not hollow, which I am definitely not right now. And if a bonfire is kindled, that means that the amount of Estus your flask can carry goes up by 5. And I think the highest it can go is 30? I don't really remember. But that is higher than the other games. But there is a reason for it, since in the other games they're permanent upgrades, while in this game it's based on what bonfire you're at. So it's kind of different. I don't remember this guy, but he's cool. There's kind of like a version of him in every Dark Souls. Not necessarily a version, but like an equivalent. Like Dark Souls 2 had the guy who was the guy who'd given up, who was at a what's it called? Majula. And he has a covenant, but I never joined it, so I don't remember what it is. And in Dark Souls 3 there was I don't remember his name, but he was Meme Man. He said conniptions. And he was part of the Undead Legion. And he, if you followed his quest line, he'd betray you, and you could fight him at Sky Place. I don't remember what that place was called either. Dragon. The place where you fight the Nameless King. This guy's cool. Well, actually, he's not. He's not very interesting, but he sells you low-level miracles, which are pretty good for the beginning of the game. And he also has a covenant, which is pretty useful to join at the beginning of the game. So, yeah, I'll join it. So now you can buy miracles of him. And right now, to be honest, the only one that really matters is heal. But I don't have enough souls for that, so I'm not going to. Alright, yeah, also, gestures. I forgot about those. The first gesture you can learn is from this guy, Shrug, which is one of my favorites. So, by default, your gestures are point forward, point upward, which you'll probably never use, point down, which is a meme, beckon, which I guess is useful for multiplayer but serves no purpose in single player. Well, gestures don't really serve a purpose anyway in single player. Wave. Oh right, it could be bow. Or bow, is it bow or bow? I don't remember. And prayer. Which is the only one... Oh, okay, I thought it was one that you only stopped if you pressed a button. I guess it was changed to that later, because it is in Dark Souls 3. And the one I just got is Shrug, which is great. I love that one, and it never returned, sadly. There's like... the best one is Well, What Is It? Which we won't get until about... a little while. Not a long while, but a decent while. This part I'm not meant to go to yet, but there's a few good items over here, so I'm going to risk skeletons. So yeah, there's the bird from before. He hangs out here until you figure out a puzzle that I don't remember how to do. Then he'll take you back to the Undead Asylum, which doesn't really serve much of a purpose, but the biggest thing there is the crows. And I don't mean those crows, I mean the talking crows, where if you drop certain items, they'll give you other items. I don't remember, I never really traded with them in this game, but I traded with them a lot in Dark Souls 2 and 3. And Bloodborne doesn't have an equivalent, so yeah. The Soul of an Undead. There's a weapon somewhere here, I think, but I'm not going to risk it, I'm just going to take the souls. And these skeletons are not fun to fight. They're easy later, but not fun. And right now they're gonna be ridiculous. So, not gonna even bother, I'm just gonna head back to the shrine, and hopefully I can rest at the bonfire. Yeah. If you rest at the bonfire, also, it resets enemies. So basically, if you killed an enemy, they'd come back, but also if you're being chased by enemies, they'll go back to where they were. These guys, probably, they're very similar to they're like more advanced versions of the hollows in the asylum. They can do more damage, but they're not very much. They can do more damage and they have a shield, but they're not very much smarter. They can't do much more. This one's kind of like the more intelligent version of the more intelligent version. They have a more powerful shield and a more powerful weapon, but again, I suppose they are a little bit smarter. They know how to use a shield, unlike the other ones. This guy's throwing fire bombs, which are, at this point in the game, one of the most annoying things, but they become no hassle at all later. Fortunately, because if they were this annoying throughout the whole game, then it would be bad. Would be not as fun of a game. So, I kind of want to talk about something to do with Dark Souls. It's kind of been on my mind for a few weeks now. Where it's oh yo, here's a better look at the character's face. Is that these Dark Souls and Bloodborne, get like branded with the hardest game in the world kind of thing. But they're really not. They're like challenging, sure, but it's not really hard so much as you need to learn how to play it. Like the game is hard if you have no clue what you're doing and you just started the game for the first time. But like I know what I'm doing because I've played through this area so many times, so I'm not finding it that hard. But so it's not hard. It's more like you'd find it hard on your first playthrough, but when you know what you're doing, like I said, it's not hard at all. See, that was actually the first time I've been hit this whole time since I came from the bonfire. Someone who's really bad at the game is probably going to see this and get really offended. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if you think this game is hard. Well, I think it's hard, really. I have trouble with it at certain points. It's just that I find the intro parts quite easy. Oh, this is annoying. You have to, like, you can't get rid of those messages if you're rolling. In my first playthrough, I thought I tried everything to try to get in there and never did. I don't actually know if you can get in there. Oh, yep, that guy. He's, that's kind of foreshadowing to something that happened later. Kind of an iconic scene later. of the dragon on the bridge. Not a very fun scene, because if you don't see it coming, then you're basically just dead. But it's iconic nonetheless. So this part is also pretty good in the game's like progression style, because this is the first area in the game where there's hordes of enemies coming at you. They're not hard to beat, like I said before, but it's just that there's so many of them that you might have trouble. A new player, despite that this would cause trouble, this is meant to show to new players that what you're meant to do, or find your own way to do. Find your own way, that makes no sense. I mean, find your own way to solve the problem, basically. Down here is a secret area that I didn't know about for ages, where you can find a shopkeeper here.
Well now, you seem to have...
And I don't really remember what he sells, but he's alright. Firebomb, Lord's Talisman, Orange Guidance Stone. I'll take that, sure. Residence Key. Repair box would probably be a good idea, but I don't have that much souls. Okay. Did I just... Oh, did I just not buy the repair box and bought the weapon box by accident? Oh, I did. Oh. Oops. Alright, I guess I'll just have to get more souls. I don't remember what's down here. Oh, wait, yes I do. Just these guys. There's a lot of them, but they're not hard to beat. They don't offer much souls, but because there's so much of them, it's a decent amount, I guess. This game is just this game's really fun. I like the map design. I like the world building. How it's like you can end up anywhere. You could, I don't know what I'm trying to say. Like, you could go anywhere, kind of. Like, if you're in the forest, you could end up in the... I don't know what I'm even trying to say. But, I kind of prefer how it happened in 2 and 3, where it's like, just you gotta go to, like, you don't have to backtrack, it's like teleporting. I kind of like that more, but that's only for convenience sake. Stylistically, I enjoy this game style more. But in terms of actual function, I prefer how it worked in 2 and 3. People don't like 2. I think it is a good game that has a few problems. It's a fun game. New Bonfire. Ended up going here without using any Estus, which means I'll have a bit more Estus than you would normally have here. But I'm just gonna kill a few enemies just to get my souls up so I can buy the... You don't really need the repair box yet. That's more of a... I wouldn't say mid-game. More like... a bit after this, around about where you'd unlock... Andre, which is around the same time as, well, what is it? But you might not figure out where he is until after, well, what is it? Do people even remember what... Did I even say anything about, well, what is it? Or am I just assuming everyone knows what that is? Well, what is it's a gesture that I love and never came back. It's the best gesture in the game. It's the meme gesture. It was the giant dad gesture that everyone loved. And everyone loved it because it was funny. Unfortunately, it never came back. I wish it would, even though they're not making these games anymore. In the shadows die twice, there better be, well, what is it? Ooh.